This has some of that a bit rattling cheap acoustic guitar sound going on. Hello, it's Teemu from guitarsnextdoor.com here, back with you guys with another video, and this time I'm going to review this Yamaha FJ800 M, and that M stands for matte finish, but otherwise the specs are identical with the normal FJ800 model. So if you are looking for an opinion for FJ800 base model, I think that this is still a great video because all the other specs are still the same, just the finish that's different. And we here like to get right to the point, at least nowadays. And first, would I recommend this? Was it for? Was it not for? And after that we get to the real meat of the review. Sound, playability, build, value for money, verdict, that kind of stuff. So, would I recommend this Yamaha FJ800? If you are a beginner that is looking for a cheap dreadnought acoustic guitar with a solid top, absolutely, hands down, I recommend this. It's a great acoustic guitar for that purpose. And also if you are not a beginner and want a really cheap acoustic guitar that sounds good and has a solid top, yeah, I would recommend this for sure. And then, who is this X for? Excellent, if not the best option for beginners looking for a cheap dreadnought acoustic guitar. Excellent. And overall, people searching for a cheap guitar, great pick. And also, if you are a more experienced player, if you're looking for a backup guitar that can take a beating because it's so cheap, I think that this is a solid option. And it also works pretty well for singing and playing at the same time, and at least for practicing that. So who is this not for? If you want really great build quality, this is a cheap guitar. If you want really outstanding, amazing build quality, this is not for you. If you want a plug-in, I mean you want an acoustic electric guitar, this is not for you. If you want a full solid build, this is not for you. If you want the real bone nut and saddle right out of the gate, this is also not for you. And personally, I wouldn't really recommend this for intermediate or advanced players. I think that at those levels, I think that it's worth it to invest to a little bit more expensive and better acoustic guitar. And now let's go to the real meat of the review. And let's start with the overall build quality, materials, finish quality, hardware, that kind of stuff. The best things about this is the solid Sitka spruce top, and it, in my opinion, looks really good, especially for the price. This costs about probably, if I remember correctly, $229 in Sweetwater. Yeah. So it's really cheap, and solid top, solid Sitka spruce top. It's great, and it has a NATO back and sides, and also when you kind of touch and feel this, it's a little bit cheap feel, but the looks are really great. I mean, when you look at this, it looks really great. The matte finish, it's great, looks really good, but the back and sides are laminated, of course. NATO neck, as well as with pretty much all the budget Yamaha acoustic guitars, and then the walnut finger part, which it in my opinion looks really good and also feels solid. And then again, urea, kind of a mix of plastic and other synthetic materials, saddle and nut, but I think that for this price, around $200, you can't expect anything else. A normal 25.5 scale length works great for most players. And about the finish quality, the fret edges, they feel just a little bit rough. They are definitely not sharp, and some people might not even call them rough, but in my opinion they are a little bit rough and stick out just a little bit, but it's definitely not terrible and didn't bother me almost at all, but you still notice. The NATO neck, it feels a little bit cheap in my opinion. For example, if you compare this to this Access Big Brother FJ830, its neck, it offers a much better high quality feel. But yeah, this is a cheap guitar. Tuning stability with this thing, it's, in my opinion, for this price, it's great. But it's definitely not excellent. You have to tune it. I don't know if I can say often, but still quite often at least. But it's manageable and didn't bother me too much. Overall, the hardware, the build quality, it's not perfect, but I didn't expect that for this price. I would rate the overall build, materials, hardware, finish, that kind of stuff, 3.3 out of 5. And then let's move to the playability. One of the biggest cons is that, as I mentioned, those a little bit rough fret edges that didn't really bother me that much, but you can notice those. And also, for some people, if you're a beginner, dreadnought body shape, it's quite bulky. I recommend testing that out before buying, or buying a guitar from a place where you can return it for free if you don't like it. So those are the cons, but overall the playability of this thing for this price, and keeping in mind that most players who are going to buy this are beginners, I think that the playability is as easy as it gets with the Dreadnought from this price range. Yeah, power chords, in my opinion, easy to play with this thing. I have broken my finger when I was a kid, my index finger, I mean, and it causes me some problems with power chords and with some guitars, but with this, quite easy in my opinion. And the action, overall setup, really good. Action was low, felt really nice to play right out of the box. And I would even say that this is just a little bit easier to play than the Yamaha FG800, but that FJ830, which is a little bit more expensive guitar, it felt more comfortable and smoother and better in that sense when it comes to playability. Yeah, and this is in my opinion really excellent for chords, rhythm playing, finger picking. Yeah, really great guitar for that. For leads it's okay, not great, but okay, good. Yeah, and I would rate the playability with this thing 3.8 out of 5. And let's now move to the sound samples. I have a separate no dark sound demo of this thing on my channel, so check that out too. But yeah, let's check some samples out right now. I think that this offers really solid all-around Dreadnought acoustic guitar sounds. Really, and for the price I would call them great. And the overall volume and projection with this thing, solid in my opinion. The low end, it's kind of not that great actually. Surprised me a little bit. The low end, low E, the tone is not so great, and those low end tones and frequencies are not highlighted that well with this thing, in my opinion. That kind of surprised me because this is Dreadnought, so I thought that those would be a little bit better. And with the FJ800, I think that it offered quite a bit better low end sound, but still for this price, this, I mean, really great sounding, works for different playing styles really well. And of course this has some of that rattling cheap acoustic guitar sounding going on, especially when you play with force or heavier strumming. It's a little bit rattly sound, yeah. And also when playing leads and down the fret with the higher strings, the sound is a little bit tinny and rattly, especially when compared to FJ800. And how could you improve the sound of this thing? Replacing the strings. The stock strings are not the best, yeah. So replacing those with the better ones, that could potentially improve the sound at least a little bit. And also replacing the urea nut and saddle with the real bone or tusk one, that could also improve the overall sound and sustain as well. But for this price, I think that the sounds are great, but to give you a little bit better reference point to guitars from other price ranges as well, I would rate the sound of this thing 3.6 out of 5. And then the value for the money. Excellent in my opinion. I mean, solid top, it's cheap, it's versatile, it sounds good, especially for the price, and it's also suitable for many different playing styles. And it has a solid Sitka spruce top. Like, excellent value for the money. I mean, this is really cheap guitar. Value for the money, 5 out of 5. It has some cons and issues, small tiny issues, but yeah, still great value for the money. And the verdict, I think that this is an excellent Dreadnought acoustic guitar. It's versatile, sounds good, and also it's really easy to play with the right setup. I would give this an overall rating of 3.9 out of 5. I mean, if I could move back in time to the days when I started guitar playing or with the acoustic guitar, I would wish that I had a guitar like this. Yeah, it's not perfect and it's a beginner instrument and cheap instrument of course, but I think that this is, for the money, really great guitar. And stay tuned because soon I will release the video where I compare this to a little bit more expensive Yamaha Dreadnought, Yamaha FJ800, and then the really popular Yamaha APX600, kind of a thin lane acoustic guitar. So stay tuned for those, because that video will be really interesting to see. You can see how this compares to a little bit more expensive Dreadnought and a little bit different Yamaha acoustic. And one really important thing, take care of yourself. And I hope that I will see you again soon.